Let's take a moment and we'll walk through the dimmer and dimmer timer settings on Pioneer's AVH-280BT. And from any source, we're just going to touch the gears up here. And we're on the toolbox. That's good. Let's scroll down on the toolbox until we find the dimmer settings. We'll open up the dimmer settings, and the first thing we see is the dimmer trigger. How do we switch the dimmer on and off with the trigger? Let's open that. Here we have three different settings. We have the auto setting, and that means when I switch the headlights on the car, the dash lights will dim, and if the AVH-280BT is wired that way correctly into the car, it will also dim the lights on the head unit, but only if it's wired that way. Our next setting is the manual trigger, where we can switch by touching a button on the head unit to switch the dimmer on or off, and we'll show you how to do that one. And next up is the timer setting. So let's start with the timer setting, and we'll go back up, and you can see that the timer has started to dim the display of the head unit. Let's check the dimmer duration. We'll touch that. Here you can see that the dimmer switches on at 6 p.m. and switches off again at 6 a.m. So let's make some adjustments to that. We have the on time selected right now. We're going to make that a little later in the day. Maybe 8 p.m. is when the dimmer will switch on. And then when the dimmer switches off in the morning, we'll make that a little earlier. We'll make it 5:30 a.m. So this area in the blue is when the dimmer is switched on, from 8 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. in the morning. You can make those adjustments whenever you want. When you're done making those adjustments, we'll go back up, and that's our dimmer timer set. Let's go back and we'll switch the dimmer to its manual setting so we can switch it on and off whenever we want. We'll go back up. Here's our day and night setting. That's our manual dimmer setting. Right now the head unit is switched to its daytime brightness. If we open or touch that, we can switch it to the nighttime brightness, and you can see the dimmer lowering the brightness for its nighttime setting. You can touch it again to switch it off, and the brightness comes back up. Now this is a couple menus down in the system. I'd like to be able to get to my dimmer a little easier than that. So I'm going to put this little star right here, light that up in gold, and we will go up to our favorites here. That's the star, and you can see our day and night switch, or our dimmer switch, is right there. So leave this menu on the star and hit the X. Now if I want to turn my dimmer on, all I have to do is touch the gears. That takes us right to the favorites, our day and night setting. Touch that, and that switches the dimmer on. We can hit the X to escape. We can switch the dimmer off again by touching the gears, and that takes us right back to our favorites, and we can switch the dimmer off. Touch the X to escape.